Om Avatarishishaya Namaha. Om Vishamaya Namaha. Om Divakarasamudhyataya Namaha. Om Sukshmatalave Namaha. Om Chinmayaya Namaha. Om Gurumurtaye Namaha. Om Sundaraya Namaha. Om Sulocanaya Namaha. Om Sumukhaya Namaha. Om Chanvasaya Namaha. Om Keshavaya Namaha. Om Padmabhujaya Namaha. Om Antagamaya Namaha. Om Charamvaradharine Namaha. Om Ramaya Namaha. Om Mandirastapakaya Namaha. Om Shrivyavachakaya Namaha. Om Gayatri Ajvale Namaha. Om Arpanasvikarakaya Namaha. Om Vishnupujakaya Namaha. Om Namo Narayana Mantrapasakaya Namaha. Om Swaramayaya Namaha. Om Madhurakantaya Namaha. Om Krishna Sankirtanalopaya Namaha. Om Sutrapriyaya Namaha. Om Mitabashvine Namaha. Om Admine Namaha. Om Chitrakala Visharadaya Namaha. Om Vratadharaya Namaha. Om Sarave Namaha. Om Jagatpandaya Namaha. Om Sarvalokahitaya Namaha. Om Bhaktapriyaya Namaha. Om Surdaya Namaha. Om Anukulaya Namaha. Om Niyaya Namaha. Om Sudarshanaya Namaha. Om Bhaktavatsalaya Namaha. Om Premamurtaye Namaha. Om Shubhikshanaya Namaha. Om Pritivardhanaya Namaha. Om Swastidayakaya Namaha. Om Tarakaya Namaha. Om Anugrahaya Namaha. Om Vardhanaya Namaha. Om Achitaya Namaha. Om Antaya Namaha. Om Siddhipradaya Namaha. Om Janardhanaya Namaha. Om Manoharaya Namaha. Om Mahakshaya Namaha. Om Siddheshwaraya Namaha. Om Bhasmapushitaya Namaha. Om Atmalingaya Namaha. Om Lingachala-prasakaya Namaha. Om Sri Sadanaya Namaha. Om Madhavaya Namaha. Om Omkarapasakaya Namaha. Om Sukshmaya Namaha. Om Vishwakaya Namaha. Om Sattvikaya Namaha. Om Samadashine Namaha. Om Dakshaya Namaha. Om Achintyaya Namaha. Om Nirankaraya Namaha. Om Nirmohaya Namaha. Om Anyagraya Namaha. Om Jitakradaya Namaha. Om Vinayshilaya Namaha. Om Savashaya Namaha. Om Kushalaya Namaha. Om Kshamaya Namaha. Om Satyadharmaya Namaha. Om Nirvikalpaya Namaha. Om Viraktaya Namaha. Om Atindraya Namaha. Om Satyasandaya Namaha. Om Pavitraya Namaha. Om Madhurasvabhavaya Namaha. Om Suranandaya Namaha. Om Nandanaya Namaha. Om Prasanatmane Namaha. Om Bhaktanidaye Namaha. Om Sakshaye Namaha. Om Samatmaye Namaha. Om Sadayogine Namaha. Om Haraye Namaha. Om Sutapaya Namaha. Om Somyaya Namaha. Om Guyaya Namaha. Om Vimuktatmaya Namaha. Om Kapiraya Namaha. Om Guptaya Namaha. Om Atmaramaya Namaha. Om Srinivasaya Namaha. Om Devaya Namaha. Om Dvitikaraya Namaha. Om Danyaya Namaha. Om Gurave Namaha. Om Duratikramaya Namaha. Om Dahanaya Namaha. Om Bhagavate Namaha. Om Harisharanargashakaya Namaha. Om Kutasutakartakaya Namaha. Om Aviprayaya Namaha. Om Sarvamata Samatyaya Namaha. Om Kshamikatapavardakaya Namaha. Om Premapatari Sri Vishwananda Swami Namaha. Ato Deva Avantuno Yato Vishnu Vichakrame Prativya Sapta Dhamapi Ikam Vishnu Vichakrame Predani Dade Padam Samo Dhamasya Bhagum Sire Trini Pada Vichakrame Vishnu Gopa Adabhya Ato Dharmani Dharene Vishnu Karmani Pashyata Yato Vrikani Paspashe Indrasya Yuja Saka Tad Vishnu Paramam Padagum Sada Pashanti Suryaha Diviva Chakshuratatam Tad Vipraso Vipanyavo Jagruvagum Sasamidate Vishnu Yak Paramam Padam प्रेम अवताराय विद्महे सद्गुरुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विश्वनन्दा प्रचोदयात्। ॐ प्रेम अवताराय विद्महे सद्गुरुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विश्वनन्दा प्रचोदयात्। ॐ प्रेम अवताराय विद्महे सद्गुरुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विश्वनन्दा प्रचोदयात्। सूर्यकोटि समाप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। श्री कृष्ण विष्णु मधुसूदन केतवरे नारायण अच्युत त्रिविक्रम चक्रपाणे दैत्यादि सच्चधर श्रीधर वासुदेवा गोपाल कृष्ण हरे तव सुप्रभातं श्री रुक्मिणी सभवनाश हरे मुरारे राधेश गोपीश स्वरूप ब्रह्माणि वन्द्या श्रीद्वारकाशय वैकुण्ठ गोपाल देव हरे तव सुप्रभातं। भूरिकृतं महापपा श्रीकृष्णाग्रयतोकम्। ईश्वर परम कृष्ण सच्चिदानंद विग्रह अनतिरतिर्गोविन्द सर्वकरणकरणं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि चिन्तामणि प्रकरसात्मशुकाल्पवृक्षं लाक्षावृतेषु सुरवीरविपालयन्तं लक्ष्मीसहस्रशतसम्भ्रमसेव्यमानं गोविन्दमा ईश्वर परम कृष्ण सच्चिदानंद विग्रह अनादिरादिर गोविंद सर्वकरण करण गोविंदमादि पुरुषं तमां भजामि गोविंदमादि पुरुषं तमां भजामि.
Ajnanatimirandasya jnananjanashalakaya chakshurunmiritam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Gurudev, everybody. So recently I was thinking, remembering some of my past history of my life. And I remember that actually I never liked reading books. I kind of hated reading books. Russian literature, if you know, it's vast and huge. In Russian schools, since early classes, we study the classic literature of Dostoevsky, Lev Tolstoy, and things like this, which you can read for many, many years. It's huge, and it seemed so boring. Like no purpose into that. About war, about some love between man and woman and things like this. It seemed very boring. And interesting how things changes. Right now I have a whole list of books I am eager to hold in my hands and to study and read. Like friends of mine try to bring it from India, some books and things like this. And I actually also remembered that when I came on a spiritual path, the very first book, like spiritual book that I was interested in, that I actually liked, was actually Srimad Bhagavatam. This orange version, short version for children by Vanamali. I liked very much. Not that I understood a lot. Some places seemed a bit weird, like talking animals, fighting for thousands of years on a lake, things like this. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, but some things seemed very, impressed me a lot, especially Uddhava Gita, for example. When Uddhava, his teacher, his guru, Krishna, is about to leave, and in that scenario, he asks him many, many questions, and they speak, that seemed very, and I cried a lot, and the first feeling when many of us had this feeling when we cry, and we cannot stop, and we cannot understand, why am I crying, you cannot stop. There's a verse which very similar to Bhagavad Gita 1866. There is also Uddhava Gita, and I just started cry, and things like this. And so today I would like to speak about the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, because there are acharyas like Jiva Goswami, for example, who declare that Srimad Bhagavatam is the supreme scripture, is the topmost scripture that exists. He wrote a whole book about it, actually, declaring that Srimad Bhagavatam is the supreme scripture. I personally don't understand why you need to write a book about it or why you need to read it to understand that Srimad Bhagavatam is the supreme scripture. Because if you study precisely, and by precisely what I mean, like when you analyze the motivation why people say certain things, because Srimad Bhagavatam is stories, it's dialogues, right? What motivates people to do what they do? What motivates people to say what they say? Right? How they live? If you study truly how they live, how they die, and things like this, it's very easy to understand that this is the supreme scripture. No need to read any Jiva Goswami book about it. Okay. And so the verse for today. And there are many verses actually which declare the supremacy of Srimad Bhagavatam, but the verse that I chose is actually Canto 1, Chapter 1, verse 3, which goes as follows. Nigamakalpataro galitam palam shukamukat amrita dravasam yutam pibata bhagavatam rasam alayam muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. And translation is, O expert and thoughtful man, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. It emanates from the lips of Sri Shukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Okay, so let's go step by step. The first thing it says, it addresses thoughtful and experts. And so Puranas, they are divided. We know there are 18 major Puranas, and they are divided like 6 Puranas which are dedicated to Shiva, 6 Puranas which are dedicated to Brahma, and 6 to Vishnu. And they are guna avatars, avatars of the Lord in a way that are responsible for certain guna. Okay, it's not that Shiva is tamasic, it's not that Brahma is rajasic. No, they're responsible for this kind of qualities in here. Okay, and so we have tamasic Puranas, we have rajasic Puranas and sattvic Puranas. And tamasic Puranas, they deal with mystic powers. They deal with stories about destruction because it's Shiva. Okay, so they are meant for specific type of consciousness. Okay, and the goal is to slowly elevate the consciousness to at least rajasic. Okay, rajasic Puranas deal with material prosperity, which rituals which help you to reach material prosperity in life. Okay, Rajas, we know it's action, it's material desires, and things like this. And sattvic Puranas, it's, as we know, declare Vishnu as the supreme or his incarnations. Okay, and so they are, as it says here, expert and thoughtful man. Somebody, so for example, the previous verse actually, Canto 1, chapter 1 and verse 2, also speaks about the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. And it says, completely rejecting all religious activities which are motivated by something material, which are materially motivated. Yeah. So this Srimad Bhagavatam, this Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth. Yeah, it says materially motivated activities, right? Vedas, they speak a lot about things in life, like political life, economic life. There are scriptures about war, like Danu Shastra. They speak about medicine. They speak about astrology, astronomy, and things like this. It's all material. They speak about metaphysical things as well, like nature of the soul, nature of God, and so on, but they speak very little about the main point, right, about the bhakti. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam is all about bhakti, and it doesn't waste any time at all speaking about some material prosperity and things like this, and it neglects completely a material life. You know, there are verses in Canto 2, for example, why do you need a pillow if you have your hands? Why do you need warm blanket if you have, I don't remember, like from the tree, leaves from the tree? Like, why do you need to look for food? Like trees stopped giving fruits, Speaks about family life at all when we are like so attached to kids and family and husbands and wives and things like this. A lot about that. And also like this topic of thoughtful man, like I think it also addresses the truly wise people, who seek more than just material prosperity. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, for example, chapter 13, verses 8 to 12, he speaks about true knowledge, true wisdom. And it's nothing about like knowledge of this world. He speaks only about like detachment from the material and attachment to him. That's the highest knowledge possible. Everything else is ignorance, he says. Okay? The mature fruit of the desired true Vedic literature, as I said, Vedic literature is vast, speaking about a lot of topics, and the mature fruit. So there are a lot of fruits on the tree. Not all of them are mature. The mature fruit is the sweetest, it's the most filled with nutritions and things like this. So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam is the sweetest. It is the most mature fruit of all the scriptures, because it deals, again, exclusively about bhakti. It speaks about Ashtanga Yoga, it speaks about meditation on Paramatma in Canto 2, but it does only to declare that this path only mean to lead you to bhakti and nothing else. If it doesn't lead you to bhakti, it's all useless. There are verses, for example, a beautiful, one of my favorite ones, Narada, when he speaks to Vedavyasa, Canto 1, chapter 5, verse 12, he says, practices which lead to self-control, which lead to self-realization, are not sufficient to satisfy the urge of your heart. Even self-realization is not enough, he says. Can you imagine? Self-realization, it's quite high state. It's the people in self-realized people are very happy. They are beyond suffering and things like this. Beyond the gunas, you can say. And this is not enough. What's lacking is bhakti, it's devotion to the Lord. And we see from the whole story, also in the previous verse, it says that this beautiful Bhagavatam compiled by the great sage Vedavyasa in his maturity, and we know the story, right? In the first canto, the story of Srimad Bhagavatam is described. Vedavyasa wrote the whole Vedic literature. He wrote Puranas, other Puranas. He wrote Mahabharata. He wrote Vedas, and he felt dissatisfaction. He felt like something is not enough, right? He felt a bit even more like depressed, you can say, right? And so Narada comes, and he speaks what he speaks. He encourages him to write Srimad Bhagavatam. He says, you didn't write the most important. You didn't write about the qualities of the Lord, about the glories of the Lord, about his deeds, about his forms. And you didn't write about the relationship between the devotees and the Lord himself. The most important stuff. And by study precisely, also I said before, what I mean, that in the Padma Purana there is a verse which says that the first two cantos are the feet of the Lord. The third canto, and the third and the fourth is his thighs, okay, his legs. The fifth is his navel. The sixth is his chest. 7 and 8th canto is his arms. The 8th canto is his neck. 9th is his neck. The 10th is his beautiful lotus face of the Lord. 11 is his forehead, and 12 is his head. Okay, and so just like in the morning, I don't know if you know, but in the morning we have the first darshan of the deity. We chant Vaishnava mantra and we go from the feet to the head, to the top. In the same way, Srimad Bhagavatam should be studied precisely, slowly, not reading like a novel, like some nice story, but precisely from the first canto, analyzing what motivates these people to act the way they act, what motivates them to say what they say, precisely from first canto to 12th. Not jumping up and down straight away from 10th canto, like as we say, like 10th canto is the topmost one. No. Like for example, Parikshit Maharaj, he asked the question. He doesn't ask in the second canto. He doesn't ask, talk to me please about Rasa Lila. I want to know what happened in there, right? The very first, one of the first questions he asked is actually, talk to me about the process of creation. Because if you study the process of creation, it's nothing but the glories of the Lord himself, because it's so incredible how the universe is just created. Like it's so glorious, it's so perfect how it's created. And it's all about his glories. Like there are a lot of, like in Canto 3, Canto 2, speaks about the creation process just to speak about the glories of the Lord, nothing else. And if you want, and I hope you want, to love the Lord, you need to read his, because like we can say, I meditate on some light, and I meditate on some love, I imagine these things, But this is something abstract. This is somewhere, But the Lord, he has very specific form, he has very specific qualities, very specific deeds that he did, specific leelas. In order to love him, study this. This Srimad Bhagavatam, there are also verses, I think, spoken by the sages in Canto 2. They say, like, it's not enough, please speak to us. Sukadeva Goswami, please talk more. This is not enough. And when you study, like I, for example, right now, I study actually quite precisely. Like, I blame like my body, my mind, that I want to go to sleep. Like, I don't want to go to sleep. I want to study. What are you talking about? I want to read. And for me, like after Shah and Arati, for example, people sometimes say good night. Like, good night, Brish Kishore. I'm like, what are you talking about? The day just started. The most interesting part just started. I go and study. Srimad Bhagavatam, like, it's so, there is everything in there. So there is another point in the verse. It says, emanated from the lips of Shri Shukadeva Goswami, and that's why it made it even more sweeter. Interesting point, actually, because it's not exactly true that it emanated from the lips of Shri Shukadeva Goswami, because the first being that spoke Bhagavatam was actually the Lord himself. The first being who received Srimad Bhagavatam was Brahma himself. In the Canto 2, it is described in chapter 9, if I'm not mistaken. Brahma was performing the tapasya. He was performing austerities. He pleased the Lord, and the Lord showed him Vaikuntha itself. And he declared to him Bhagavatam. So he was the first being who heard Bhagavatam. And he spoke to his sons, including Narada. Narada spoke Bhagavatam to Vedavyasa. Vedavyasa spoke to Shukadeva Goswami. And why it is says that it became sweeter, because Sri Shukadeva Goswami declared it. I have two versions. Either because Sri Shukadeva Goswami is so pure that he could, like a perfect transmitter, right? He could perfectly say what the Lord said himself. Like, as we know from the story, I think it's somewhere here actually, when Vedavyasa and Shukadeva Goswami, they were walking, right? The women who were bathing in the river, when they see Vedavyasa, they became ashamed. Right? And Guruji was speaking in his commentary because he still had some material attachments and desires. Shukadeva Goswami was pure from the birth itself. And that's why they were not even ashamed of him, like he was completely pure being. Either it can mean that why it became even more pure is because he declared it in a very simple way. Because the truth you can declare in a very complicated words. Guruji once said in a satsang, people are arrogant when they speak in a very difficult words to declare that, look how intelligent I am and things like this. But the humble people, like humble teachers, they speak in a simple words, not to declare that I am smart and knowledgeable, but to let people understand. So Srimad Bhagavatam is actually spoken like that. And let's look in comparison, Srimad Bhagavatam, and of course we study Bhagavad Gita a lot, I hope. How it starts, how Bhagavad Gita starts, right? We all remember the very first verse, spoken by the blind king Dhritarashtra. He asked the question to his servant. He says, what did my sons and the Pandavas do when they gathered on a battlefield? And actually, if you analyze this verse itself, you can see that there is no happiness in this question. There is already some anxiety. There is no happiness, there is no peace in this question. There is some problem. So Bhagavad Gita starts actually with a problem. And later, of course, we know in the first chapter, we know the state of Arjuna. Bhagavad Gita starts with a problem, with unhappiness. And then Krishna lists him several paths how to reach happiness. He lists Karma Yoga, he lists Jnana Yoga. He does declare that Bhakti is higher, but still he lists several paths. Okay. And how does Srimad Bhagavatam starts? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It starts with the glorification of the Lord. And the very first verse itself speaks about the 7 qualities of this Vasudeva, the highest truth. 7 qualities, declares that it's untouchable. Even though it incarnates, even though it creates, it's still untouched by anything material. It says that it's independent completely from anything else. Although everything depends on him, he himself is supremely independent. Okay, and so Srimad Bhagavatam all speaks about that, only about that. Okay, we can see the difference how it starts. Okay, starts with unhappiness, with the problem in Bhagavad Gita, and starts with the declaration of the highest truth of the Lord, glorification of the Lord Himself. So it kind of starts with the mood already. Okay, in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Bhagavad Gita, even though Krishna declares Bhakti to be the highest, he does speak again and again, Man mana bhava man bhakto, focus your mind on me. He says, Satatam kirtayantamam, constantly glorify me. Great souls, he says in chapter 9, verses 13, 14, great souls, what they do? They constantly glorify me. He says in chapter 8, verse 7, Tasmat sarveshu kalishu mamanus marayudicha, at all times think about me. But he doesn't say how those people who constantly glorify him, how they live. He doesn't say how those people who focused exclusively their minds on him, how they die. He doesn't say how they live their lives, how they face challenges. Okay, because they do face challenges. Srimad Bhagavatam does say about that. For example, King Parikshit, right, who heard Srimad Bhagavatam, we know he did a mistake. Right, he put, we know there is a story here actually in the same, you can see here, what number? Number 77, if I'm not mistaken. The sage which he met in the forest didn't pay respect to him. And so in this this situation, he put a dead snake on his shoulder, which is quite a big disrespect. Okay. And the son of the sage cursed King Parikshit. So what did King Parikshit do? Did he start to blame life? Because he was cursed to die in 7 days. Did he start to blame life? Did he start to blame God? Did he start to blame and send an army to destroy the ashram of the sage? No. He actually repelled. He sincerely repelled. He said, I have done a mistake. I have done a mistake. And Guru said in the satsang, that this kind of repel is actually like a cure to become pure again. It's very, very important. So we see actually Parikshit, he is declared in Srimad Bhagavatam as the very pious, very dharmic, almost as a saint king. So we see an example how to behave. He, what did he do? He realized he will die soon. You know, I heard, for example, we were discussing with the guys some years back, you know, what would you do if you know that you will die? I have heard answers like, I will buy a lot of chips, the most like tasty things, and I would watch the best movies I know till the end. You know, what did Parikshit do? Well, he renounced everything. He was ruling actually the most prosperous kingdom at that time. He renounced it completely. He went on a bank of the river, started to practice. He met the sages and he asked them very, very important questions, which are important for everybody. What one should do before death and what one should do when he knows he will die. Shukadeva Goswami tells him, these are the most important questions one can ask. Okay? And that's an example. So he doesn't blame. Right? Another example, Queen Kunti in same canto, Canto 1, Chapter 8. She so mature, she pronounced such a mature prayer. Verse 25, for example, she says, "O Krishna," because Krishna is about to leave Hastinapur, he's about to go to Dwarka. And she says, we have faced so many problems, like people wanted to kill us so many times. And please give me more problems so that I can focus on you, so I can remember you. Who can say that? Can you say that? Guruji, give me problems. Give me health problems. Give me money problems. Give me my relationship problems with my children, with my husbands, with my wives, whatever. Who can say that? So we can see that she it's like a prayer of sincerity. Right? The whole book can be written actually about just this one verse, a prayer of sincerity. Only sincere devotee can say such a thing. God, give me more problems, but only think, like my topmost priority is you. I don't care about anything else. Example. Okay. She didn't blame Krishna. She didn't blame God. She says, give me more problems. Another example, Bhishma. In the next chapter, actually, Bhishma was nailed down to the ground with the arrows. He's laid down suffering in agony, in pain. Okay? Like it hurts, I'm sure it hurts. Like it's not pleasant to lay down on a bed of arrows. Right? Not comfortable. What does he say? He knows he will die. He pronounces the prayer. He says, I want to see only the Lord. Even though there is a beautiful verse which I once gave a satsang, I think it's 37, yes. He says, Lord, you wanted to kill me. I don't care. Yeah. At the end of my life, I want to think about you. And so such verses, this is only just a few examples. Or Arjuna, just at the end, to finish, example of Arjuna in the same canto 1, chapter 15. Arjuna returns from Dwarka. Yudhishthir meets him and he asks, how is everything? How is Krishna? And he's pale. He doesn't understand what Yudhishthir is asking him because Krishna has left. And he pronounces heartbreaking prayer. He pronounces heartbreaking words. He says in verse 21, I am the same Arjuna. Like I have the same bow, I have the same horses, I have the same chariots, but I am not the same because Krishna has left. Everything that I was doing before now makes no sense because everything I was doing for him. Heartbreaking. The Guru has left. His close friend has left. Everything just lost its sense. Nothing makes sense anymore. I am the same one, but my glory has left me. Beautiful, beautiful words. Srimad Bhagavatam is all about that. So if you want to love God, I hope I at least slightly inspired you to study precisely, Srimad Bhagavatam. And I just told you just a couple examples. It's filled with examples like that. So if you want to fall in love with the Lord, if you want your heart to be pure, in Canto 2, chapter 3, verse 24, it is declared, if you chant the glories of the Lord, if you read about His qualities, His deeds, and this doesn't go, this doesn't roll, your hair doesn't stand on end, your heart is still how to say, it's still ironed, right? It's not like silk. It's not pure. So study. Fill your heart, fill your mind with His stories, with His glories, and then you will fall in love with Him. Jai Gurudev.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. La 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 la. Jagadambe Mata Ambe Jagadambe
Ambe 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 Jagadambe Mata Ambe Jagadambe
Gana Priye Nata Priye 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 Amba Bhavani Gana Priye Nata Priye Amba Bhavani Gana Priye Nata Priye Amba Bhavani
Gnana Priye Nata Priye Amba Bhavani
Ambe Jagadambe Mata Ambe Jagadambe
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 Mahalakshmi Ambe Gauri Mahalakshmi Ambe Mahalakshmi Ambe Gauri Mahalakshmi Ambe Mahalakshmi Ambe Gauri Mahalakshmi Ambe
Mahalakshmi Ambe Gauri Mahalakshmi Ambe
Mahishasura Mardini Bhavani Mahalakshmi Ambe Mahishasura Mardini Bhavani Mahalakshmi Ambe Jai Ambe Shri Ambe Amba Bhavani
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 Ambe Jagadambe Mata Ambe Jagadambe
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 Gana Priye Nata Priye
Gnana
Priye Nata Priye Gana Priye Nata Priye
Gnana Priye Nata Priye
Gana Priye Nata Priye Amba Bhavani
Gnana Priye Nata Priye Amba Bhavani
Gana Priye Nata Priye Amba Bhavani
Gnana Priye Nata Priye Amba Bhavani
Ambe Jagadambe Mata Ambe Jagadambe
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 Mahalakshmi Ambe Gauri Mahalakshmi Ambe
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 Jai Ambe Shri Ambe Amba Bhavani
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 Ambe Jagadambe Mata Ambe Jagadambe Ambe Jagadambe Mata Ambe Jagadambe
Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraya Karunakaraya Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraya Karunakaraya Mangala Mangala Me Prabhavidame Karata
Asatoma Sakaya Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Namo Shri Lakshmi Narayana Bhagavan ki. Sri Bhutabhrteshwarnath Mandir ki. Shri Radha Krishna Kanhaiya ki. Shri Bhakti Marga ki. Shri Ramanujacharya ki. Transvolo Satgurudeva Sri Swami Vishwananda Mahaprabhu ki. Om Klim Krishnaya Govindaya Gopijanavaya Paraya Paramapurushaya Parakarma Mantra Yantra Tantra Ushadastra Shastrani Samara Samara Vijay Mocha Mocha. Om Namo Bhagavate Mahasudashanaya Gite Jalapadaya Sarvati Shamanam Pat Parasmai Paramane Panchatishe Swaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.